Hello class. In this brief presentation for Module 3, I'd like to just review some main points about our topic this week, motivational interviewing. Motivational interviewing is somewhat time intensive on the front end because it takes effort and it takes time and patience to understand our patient's goals and wishes. It is important to remember that when you're advocating for health behavior change, our patients typically want to accomplish that goal. For example, they want to reduce their substance abuse. They want to quit smoking. Most of our patients want those things, yet they struggle with those things. So motivational interviewing requires us to take the time to actually form a relationship and join with our patients in those goals as we develop shared goals and a plan to achieve those goals. So this is vital for meaningful behavioral changes. As I said, it's very time intensive on the front end, but it will save you enormous amounts of frustration and time on the back end because our patients will now be working for goals that they have actually committed themselves to in a meaningful and productive way. So how does motivational interviewing work? Motivational interviewing works by capturing what the patient is seeking. And this is very important. It's not capturing what we are seeking, it's capturing what the patient is seeking by using their own desire for change. And this is a place where clinicians often get into trouble because we do actually know what's best for our patients, but if our patients aren't ready to go there yet, they'll resist. And a lot of times we've labeled that in healthcare as non-compliance or non-adherence. But non-adherence, of course, is the better term. Non-compliance is actually pretty much a label of judgment. But non-adherence happens in a clinical care all the time. A patient may get a prescription but not fill a prescription. A patient may fill a prescription but never take the medicine. So when we are facing a patient who is non-adherent, it is important that we as clinicians recognize that when patients are non-adherent, they have reasons. Those reasons are not our reasons, but those are reasonable reasons nonetheless. And we do a better service to them if we understand those reasons. Just in the simple example of prescription non-adherence, does a patient have enough money to pay for the prescription? Are they having to choose between getting their prescription and buying groceries that month? Do they not understand the prescription? Is there a health literacy issue? Have they prescribed this medication before and it failed and no one ever bothered to ask them? And what have they tried before and why, and have they tried this before? So it's very important that this, even though this is time-intensive part, that we understand the reasons why our patients are non-adherent. But in the larger context of motivational interviewing, our communication approach matters when we listen to clients and join with them. Then we can actually use motivational interviewing to tip the scales toward positive behavior changes. Your reading materials this week, as well as the interview that you will observe in this module, will recognize this principle of ambivalence. And when we can attend to our communication approach and recognizing that clients have ambivalence, we can capture that we can tip them toward positive behavior and away from the negative behavior. So motivational interviewing works well when clinicians attend to the goals of clients, listen and understand those goals, and develop a shared care plan that leads toward the positive behavioral changes. In summary, the key points of motivational interviewing really focus on the dynamic presence that the clinician brings to the motivational interviewing relationship. The first key principle of motivational interviewing is collaboration. And most healthcare providers simply tell the patient what's best for them. They say, take this medicine, go to this appointment, get this lab test done, you should have this surgery, you need this resource. But in motivational interviewing, when we're trying to accomplish behavioral changes for the better, we have to recognize that motivational interviewing is collaborative. It is the relationship between the patient and the clinician, and the patient is the expert on themselves. And the clinician is the expert on the medical or psychosocial issues at hand. And so the relationship is foundational. The dialogue is foundational. Secondly, motivational interviewing is evocative. Inquiry requires time and attention from the clinician to evoke from the patient what their values are. what their hopes are, and what their goals are. And if those are not taken into account, every effort toward behavioral change for the positive will fail. Finally, the third element of motivational interviewing is clearly tied to the ethical principles that guide our care, and motivational interviewing is tied directly to the ethical principle of autonomy. Autonomy meaning the patient self-directs their care. So the principle of self-determination is foundational here. We know the content, okay, but the patient actually does know what's best for them. And this is actually the really fun part of working with older adults, because people don't get to be in their late 70s, 80s, 90s and become centenarians if they haven't been doing something right. And so we do want to capture that sense of history as well as their forward addressing goals when we work with them toward creating meaningful behavioral changes. So where does this leave us? The high quality, the good geriatric care manager. So the good geriatric care manager spends time with the patient and with the relationship that they're building. This is foundational. By the way, this is why all of us went into the work that we did working with older adults, is because we like working with older people. And they're very cool. And finally, and most importantly, the number one take-home message from this presentation is the good geriatric care manager listens. So listen, 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 and you'll do good work. And with that, that's the end of this presentation, and we'll close with a little cartoon just for fun about not listening. Okay, see you guys next week. Enjoy this module and reach out to me as always if you have any questions. I'm available by email and I'm pretty responsive, so have a good week.